The relationship between a realtor and a loan officer is very, very important. But why your lending partner could be causing you deals and what to do about it.
The biggest crush ever branded on my brain. When I laid eyes on your back in the 6th grade. My first dream.
Today, we're going to talk about a partnership that could make or break your real estate career. And more importantly, I'm going to show you what it looks like when you're working with the right mortgage broker in your corner. If you've never seen this channel before, my name is Gary Taylor. I'm a mortgage broker with Affluent Mortgage and the host of the Mortgage Motivation Podcast. And today we're going to talk about a very important relationship, and that's between a real estate agent or mortgage broker. I haven't seen too many YouTube channels or episodes where they discuss the importance between the real estate agent and the loan officer. So we're going to go over that today and just give you an idea of what we see out here in the industry and what you should see, the actual relationship, the partnership you should see between the two. I call it the 4 pillars of the realtor broker partnership. And we're going to just discuss the importance of the partnership and what it looks like. So the first thing is the pre-approval. The pre-approval is not just a piece of paper. You have agents out here that's showing like a $700,000 home with a pre-approval where the loan officer only looked at maybe the credit and they looked at the application. That was it. That is not a true pre-approval. Okay, now I know we use pre-approval, pre-qualification kind of interchangeably, but I'm going to break down what I see out there. Like I said, a lot of times it's just more pre-quals. Like, okay, you have someone that will maybe work at a call center or a big bank and they just look at the credit and the application and they just keep things moving. It should not work that way. When you're working with a lending partner, that lending partner should look at all financials. So what we like to look at is, of course, you're going to look at the application. There's a lot more than that. So the application, you're going to review the credit, but not just kind of glancing over the credit. You're going to obviously look at the credit scores. You also want to look at the history. What type of credit do they currently have right now? Do they own a home? How have they been making payments before in the past? Look at the installment loans. Let's look at every part of that credit report and make sure there isn't any issues. Because sometimes the credit report itself would tell you there's any problems with maybe taxes, there's any judgments, there's any liens, and how they're currently making their payments right now, because you're trying to build a case for that client. The other thing is you want to ask a lot of detailed questions. So when that loan officer is making that call, they want to ask a lot of questions beyond just the application itself, because you're trying to identify anything that may be a hurdle with that loan before it gets started. Do they have any foreclosures, any judgments, any major problems with the credit before in the past? Were they married before? Do they have student loans? That's another thing that you're looking at on the credit report, because all those things can adjust the loan itself. And if you're not looking at these items, you're going to miss something, and that's going to be trouble later on. And then if the person is self-employed, that's important too, because you have someone that's self-employed, their income could be slightly different. So it's not you just looking at the tax returns. You got to dig a little deeper than that. How long they've been self-employed? Do they pay themselves through a bank statements in a business account, through a personal account? All those things you want to find out, because you're trying to see what type of loan would they qualify for. So you're really digging deep into the pre-approval. The reason why this is so important, because I do not like wasting people's time. If you're an agent, you don't have time to waste, right? So when you're out looking at houses, when you're out showing clients, you don't have time to get someone under contract. They get under contract and then the deal blows up because they was not properly approved. Another thing you can do, anytime there's a person that has a one-off situation or a scenario that's not a traditional scenario, what you can do is you can do something called a TBD pre-approval. So you can actually run this through underwriting, right? Have an underwriter take a look at that loan just to make sure it is good before you have that client going out. So that person is self-employed and they have, just a different type of scenario, or someone that's not self-employed, that they just have a few items going on within the personal lives or with their financials. You want to run that through an underwriter. So make sure that the underwriter takes a look at it first. There are some lenders out there that allow you to do that. Allow the underwriter to take a look at it, and then you can issue out a different type of pre-approval. The difference there is it's almost like cash, because you already had an underwriter to review that loan. So it's more than just the loan officer or the loan officer assistant that was able to review the loan. You actually had an underwriter to review it and say, hey, we're good to go with this loan. the income is this, and these are the items that we'll need from that client. So if you have a lender that can actually do what they call a TBD or a true pre-approval, and that alone would be a great way to go. And just to make sure you're doing the right thing by your client. Okay, so if you don't have a loan officer to do that, or if you never heard of that before, ask your lender partner, can we do a TBD or a true pre-approval that's underwritten, fully underwritten by an underwriter? You might want to ask that question. My advice to you is before you take any clients out, make sure they're pre-approved and ask, all right, well, if it's a brand new lending partner, because if you work with the same person all the time, you should know how they look at these loans. But just make sure that they truly are pre-approved, because guess what? When they go on the contract, the listing agent gonna, as you know, you guys gonna ask that question anyway. Have they been fully pre-approved? Have you taken a look at the W-2s? Have you looked at the pay stubs? Have you looked at the tax returns? All that jazz. So they're gonna ask those questions anyway. So you wanna do that before, if you're a buyer's agent, before you take that client out to even see one home. All right, the second thing that I wanna discuss with the pillars of the real estate agent and the broker is speed. Speed wins in this market. It's so important that we get things done quickly. You want a broker that moves like a cheetah versus a sloth. There's a lot of sloths out here. So you want to make sure that your broker is willing to move fast and that can get things done. Closing deals in 45 days or more, that's just not going to make it in this market. You want someone that can get deals closed way faster than that. Now, the traditional deals, more deals you run into, it's about 30 days. But there are situations, especially like with investors, where you have to close in 20 days or 15 days. And it's possible. It all depends on what type of loan it is, but it's very well possible. But you want to have someone that can move that fast. And here's a couple of reasons why we're able to speed up the process. So one of the first things that I always notice is the fact that when you're working with a mortgage broker, we don't have to go through 6 layers of corporate to approve an exception or to make adjustments to the loan. You don't have to wait on this manager, this manager, this manager, this assistant, and waiting for phone calls and emails to come back through. We get things done immediately. It doesn't take a long time at all. Sometimes it's like within a few minutes, within a few hours, all depends on how busy the lender is, but things get done pretty quick. So you don't have to get permissions from everybody that works for the lender just to get an exception. And something else that is so important is the communication between all parties a part of the transaction. What we like to do is send out a weekly email. So every single week an email goes out to all parties. So that'll be your attorney/title company. That would be to both agents and also the insurance company. Sometimes we like to get them involved, and also the processing team. So everyone can see what is going on at all times. So that way the agents don't have to call to check in and get a status update. You don't have to worry about the title checking in. Everyone knows what's going on at all times. So it eliminates all the phone calls and allow that process to go through smoothly. And another thing I like to add to that is, since we have access to multiple lenders, we can choose a lender that we know that could go faster than others, because there are some that move a little faster than others. So they may have really good rates and a really good process, which is so important to the transaction. Most people talk about rates. I like to look at rates and the process. A lot of lenders have a very smooth process. They can get loans closed pretty quick. So don't believe the hype when they say that brokers take a long time. We are very quick when it comes to getting deals closed. All right, and the third thing I like to call financial IQ. The more you understand about the mortgage process, the faster things go. When I see a real estate agent that's very versed in mortgage process or different products, they're unstoppable. But that a lot of times has something to do with the broker or the loan officer and the real estate agent. So if you're communicating all the time and you learn about the different products, not that you have to know all the intricate details, but you got to just understand how some of these products work. So how VA loan works, FHA, conventional, some of the non-QM products, and also if you work with a lot of buyers that are down payment assistance, just kind of understanding how the flow goes, because you got to think about it. A lot of clients are talking to the agent, you guys first, and then they get to the loan officer. So the more you understand that process, the better off you'll be. Now, like I said, I'm not asking you to understand all the intricate details of a mortgage, but it's good to have just a nice understanding of the product. And so once it gets to the loan officer, it makes it a little bit more sense. And the easiest way to put it, realtors that understand the mortgage process close more deals. And also when you're working with the client, so when we sit down with a client or we're talking to a client over the phone, we kind of give them mini education of the process so they understand every part of what's going on. We don't use like a lot of jargon, right? We explain the process so they understand what debt ratios are, what loan to value is, the purchase price, how our contract works, so they know what's going on. I believe when you're working with a client and they don't understand what's going on in the process, that causes stress. But as long as the client understands the process, that eliminates stress. Not that they have to understand every part of the process, but as long as they are part of the flow, understand all the terms that we use, to me, that reduces stress by the client. And also we got the YouTube channel here where they can go through all the different videos and watch YouTube. And then just also the documents that we send out that explains the FHA loan, the VA loan, the conventional loan, the non-QM, so they know exactly what's going on. So there's never a time where they don't understand. And then we also send out videos. So anytime I'm going over a document, we send a video out so you can hear the cadence. You can hear my voice. You can see the personality, and it's easy to understand. And sometimes when you have a video attached to it, so we like to provide that for the clients too. And that all by itself is going to make the team look good. So the realtor and the broker look good. Doesn't matter where it's coming from. It allows the team to shine. Yeah, it's almost like you go into a restaurant. You expect the waiter to understand the menu and know what to serve at the restaurant. Or you can send it to that bank that only has that one product and that's all they understand. So that's no good. You want someone that understands the full menu, okay? Because there's a lot of things that we can offer. And that might be those loans that are not like your traditional loans. So that's going to your creative financing loans. So like your bank statement loans, your DSCR loans, your 1099 loans, all those things are also a part of that menu. So you want someone that understands the menu big time. So you may want to check with your lending partner and make sure that they have the arsenal or the full menu that you deserve, which for your client. And the last thing I want to talk about is just the partnership itself. It's not a transaction. And to me, a partnership, that's when you have two people that will go out and co-market with each other. Doesn't always happen these days, but co-marketing with each other, doing seminars with each other is a major plus. And that's virtual seminars as well as physical seminars. You don't see those all the time anymore, but definitely the virtual seminar, which work out great between a partnership. The other thing is social media now. You know, do you do anything on IG, TikTok, anything on YouTube like we're doing right now, you know, doing a podcast with each other, whatever it takes to bring in the business together. Also open houses. If you guys are ever doing open houses, does your lending partner ever come out and do an open house? That's a great time for you guys to get to know each other. Now, not saying that open houses are truly busy like they used to be back in the day, but that's a perfect time for you to really get to know your lending partner. I had a chance to sit with a lot of real estate agents, and I learned about the family. I learned about what they're into, all those things that you sometimes don't get into over the phone. But an open house, it's not that busy, so you have an opportunity to do that. To me, it's just unlimited amount of things that you could do with your lending partner. So what are you doing beyond just sending leads out? You know what I mean? So how does that partnership look? The other thing is after the deal closes, when the client closes on that loan, the phone calls, the emails shouldn't stop. So we add those people into our CRM. So we still get the drip campaign that's going out. They still get the happy birthdays, all the different holidays, they still get those. And also when you do that, we're staying in front of them. So if they send us a referral, they give us a phone call about a referral, we can reach back out to you to be that agent on that deal. At the end of all of this, you should be reaching out to a partner that's just not licensed in the mortgage industry, someone that has standards, someone that has systems, and someone that has some skin in the game, to be honest. All those things makes a huge difference when you're reaching out to that potential partnership or the existing partnership that you have right now. But if you could, just leave a comment below. Let me know what you're seeing out there in different states. I know multiple states that's looking at this video. Let me know what you're seeing out there. Share your stories. You have a great lending relationship. You have a partner that you had years ago and you want to share a funny story, just leave it in the comment below. But as always, share. So if you have any real estate agents that want to figure out how do I build up a strong relationship and how it should look, send them this video. If you have a new agent that just got into the industry and they're trying to figure out, okay, how does this partnership work? Why do I need a lending partner? Send them this video because this video is extremely important and it helps out. You never know. This right here could propel your success level to that next level. Okay, that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime or just leave a comment below. And that'll do it for this episode. See you later. Peace.